Hello, everybody. Good evening. Hi, everyone. See, I'm not alone today. I have a whole crew, and I'm so excited. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Callie. Hi, Chris. Hi, Keith. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
And some are probably in the comments are like, how did they make it on screen? When then you should have stayed for the watch party yesterday. We finished, I think it was the VP debate watch party. And that's what we're going to talk about first. And then I will let those wonderful folks go and talk about actual news. But it's a special night. So I'm very, very excited to hear what you guys thought about it. Because everybody heard what I think about it. But, your opinion matters perhaps even more here. So, first things first, let's talk about what's our overall impression. And before you start talking, can you just say, perhaps if you want, what state you're tuning in from? And, by the way, we're all Democratic, we're all Harris supporters. So if you can't stomach that, switch the channel. Okay. Or comment. That's engagement. That's okay. Just don't await the answers. So let's start with ladies first. Rachel, you're in New York.
I am. I'm in New York, and I thought the debate was very thorough. And I don't know. I was surprised. I thought that Vance did better than I thought he would, but he was too polished and didn't actually answer anything. So that's my quick take.
I hated the smirk when he tuned in, and there was the smirk and like all this side eye thing with the eyeliner. Callie, you're nodding. What? Tell us where you're tuning in from, and what's your take?
I'm in the East Valley in Arizona. And I think Tim did a great job. A little nervous in the beginning, but he kind of picked up towards the middle and definitely at the end. And I expected nothing but lies from JD Vance, and that's pretty much what we got.
It's true. And I think because we stayed a bit longer for after the debate, and we tuned into MSNBC where Lawrence O'Donnell was sharing his take, and he said, look, lies are lies. That's pretty much it, right? Chris, what'd you think?
Absolutely a Walz victory. I think maybe there were a few missed opportunities along the way, but I think, definitely delivered the message, definitely brought the truth. I was more concerned with how eloquently Vance spoke. I think he showed that chameleon side, right? We've all seen the clips, and then we saw him do a complete 180 and try to become this completely different person. Oh, I agree with you, Tim. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim. Yeah, it was a Walz win for sure. Forgot to mention, I'm living in Wisconsin. I split time between here in the Outer Banks and North Carolina, where I have family, and I was born in Virginia. Thank you.
Oh, wow. You have your own personal tri-state.
Yeah.
And those are very battleground states.
It's crazy, right?
Before we go for any further, do you see any difference in the atmosphere in Virginia versus Wisconsin, for instance, and North Carolina? Because all three are, hot.
For me, obviously, Wisconsin is where I am is very red, as well as North Carolina. My experience there is very limited. Obviously, we're in the Outer Banks, so not in some of the other major areas, but I don't see any differences really. Virginia is probably much more blue leaning as far as the areas that I've been to, Northern Virginia. So.
Okay. I mean, and it's, I think it also depends because we think, okay, North Carolina is red or Wisconsin is red, but it depends
Right.
where you are, right? Because
Right.
remember, that was my first experience. I'm European. So the first presidential election, and they show you a map on television and they zoom all the way in. And I'm like, they're going to zoom in and see me in pajamas here. But it's really important as to where exactly you are in the state, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, I'm in a blue city in a red state. You know,
yeah.
I'm sure like many.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Keith, you got fans. People are saying, there's Keith. I like
Wow.
that answer.
I'm not even paying attention.
All right. You haven't spoken. You already have fans and stuff. So tell us what you thought about it and where you joined.
Yes, I'm from the great state of Maryland. I didn't really find the debate to be too much of a standout. As far as the candidates go, I thought that Tim Walz did a very good job of getting the talking points across. And I thought that J.D. Vance in a lot of ways came across as a typical politician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think that, and that's what I wrote in that newsletter, that somehow he scared me more than I thought he would, because he could follow that manual. He was well trained by this Haba Baba lady. And he had the smirk on. He would turn around. He was so agreeable when it was necessary, and he was pivoting and flipping and flopping when that was necessary. And then he would turn to camera and just perform his thing anti-Harris, and everything was, Harris was blamed for everything. I think also for Hurricane, Debbie and Helene and everybody. So that's what scared me, because I see him as the next guy carrying this MAGA stick forward. Like,
Yes.
right?
I agree with you that he's dangerous. I don't necessarily see him as the next Trump, because he still lacks that charm. He doesn't have the ability to connect with people. And that's something that he would need to do if he's trying to win a broad voter base.
But think about it. Trump wins the, God forbid, right? Trump wins the election. Then they declare him crazy because when he performs his useful idiot tasks, right? Like getting out of NATO, all this type of stuff. And then the torch is passed to Vance, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he carries out the Project 2025, where they promise you don't have to vote anymore and all that. That is my scariest thing. Now I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but but they got me.
I see.
Valid fears,
saying,
though, right?
You're saying as a VP pick. Gotcha. Okay.
Chris, what were you saying?
Those are valid fears, right? I mean, I think that's in the back, at least in the back of all of our minds, right? That is a very real possibility. If 8 years ago, I would have told you you're a loony, right? That things like that will never happen in this country, but here we are.
Wow, Patty says he scared me more last night than any other time. Project 2025,
exactly, Patty.
A lovely, agreeable package. Yes, with the eyeliner and lipstick and a pink tie. Brendan.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Brendan says, I thought the debate went well. Even on both sides for a while there, Walz did have a few slip-ups, but he recovered. The final question should have been the end of Vance right there and there. Yeah, when he, denying that Trump didn't lose the election. What the fuck? Rachel, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I'm from Tennessee, and Tennessee, even though it's just very red still, and even downtown Nashville with the number of transplants we have. But Tennesseans think Vance is a genius. And that's what scares me, is that they're just, I mean, I've seen his book on nightstands in people's homes, and hear people talking about how smart he is and what a great guy he is. But then they backstep and say, just ignore the other stuff out of his mouth. But it's like, you can't ignore the morality and somebody's character or lack thereof.
Right.
that's what scares me, is that, I mean, both Trump and Vance have bamboozled wonderful people. And I just like, how do we help these people? How do we make them see the light? Because I mean, last night was terrifying. I knew he was going to be rehearsed, but that was next level. And I feel like the average individual is not going to pick up on that.
Can I ask one question for everybody? Do we feel like Pete, who was helping Tim prepare for this, do we think they knew what side of JD we were going to see? Whether we expecting the crazy side or this calm, cool, collected, smooth snake oil salesman?
I don't know. See, I don't know. I think they thought the crazy guy will show up.
Yeah, that's what I think they prepared for. The podcast, man.
Agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we didn't see like the coach version of Tim Walz, right? The warm, sort of happy, joyful guy either. He came in with receipts and everything, and I think he was expecting the crazy cuckoo guy to show up.
Yes.
He certainly did not expect him to agree. And I think that was his sort of Southern charm, to agree in return. And I think, Chris, you mentioned that first. Like, that was just this, like seeing the human part, or like them as humans, right? Those who try to manipulate you, that can be crazy. Jesse, hi, Jesse. I heard this is how Vance debated Tim Ryan for the Senate.
Ooh, I'd like to watch that.
We should have a watch party for it.
Yeah, we should actually. Let's roll it back.
Yeah.
That should have been the next video. But Jesse, thank you. We're gonna show it. I agree with that statement. MAGA have some good people, like any agenda as people who can be turned to the light. The truth will prevail, God willing. I hear from MAGA that people were very surprised that it was so decent. And they said, oh, nobody insulted anybody. This was so nice. This was so peaceful. Again, that's the sales tactic for Vance.
Yeah.
He's your choice. He is the better Trump and the younger Trump, right? Who doesn't go talking about New York City, building buildings without windows to preserve electricity. Like, what is this shit? But let's go into first video that we're going to review. Just hottest moments from Walz. Because for me personally, I don't want to give any more limelight to Vance. We saw him. That was enough. So let's talk about the concepts of healthcare. Take a look.
What Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept, because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Yeah, but before we even comment, the concepts of a plan have a history. So take a look.
We have no choice but to absolutely replace Obamacare, and we're going to come up with a much better plan. We're going to come up with a great health plan. And this is a great plan. I actually think it will get even better. But very importantly, it's a great plan. Wait till you see the plans we have coming out literally over the next 4 weeks. We have a plan coming out, an additional plan coming out in a very short period of time. We're going to have fantastic health care, and the plan is coming out over the next 4 weeks. We already have the concept of the plan, and it'll be much better. Help you with the plan. Yeah, well, we'll be announcing that in about 2 months. We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks.
9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was loud.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. We have concepts of a plan. No one puts the con in concepts like Donald Trump.
And when did we think that we're going to have to watch a late night show to get all this good videos together? Keith, do you have anything to comment on those goddamn concepts?
Yeah, I mean, I just think in general, this was a strength of Tim Walz throughout the night, is that he took complex issues and broke it down to a very relatable palette for the general public due process. And he constantly kept going back to the contrast of showing that Donald Trump is unprepared and in a lot of ways just unserious.
Yeah, I agree though. Chris, anything to add?
I agree 100% with what Keith just said. You're talking about something that 40 million plus Americans have been able to leverage, to take care of themselves and their families. I think it's just preposterous that when was that first clip shown that Trump started this whole, we're going to have a plan. We're going to have a plan. Nothing. He's had years to prepare for this.
Yeah. And still a concept.
It's still a concept, right?
And then to the question as to when Kamala Harris followed, why do you have a concept? He's like, but I'm not a president yet. Well, you've been for 4 years, and that's where your concept started. Rachel, you're laughing. Add a comment.
Because it's laughable because if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. But listen, I think we can all remember when there are pre-existing conditions and basically insurance companies got to just name their price. And I'm someone with pre-existing conditions, and without ACA, Obamacare, I didn't have coverage. And, my lady doctor for many years during, before Obamacare was Planned Parenthood. And it's so frustrating to me how Republicans will just, say all of Planned Parenthood is bad. They're just killing babies. And I'm like, no, that's like 10% of what they do. And I just want to say, leave well enough alone. I know Obamacare, it's not perfect. But just scrapping everything the former president did is not the answer either.
But also, if you don't really have a plan, what are you scrapping for, right? Because it's just so careless. Let's jump to the next one. That's where, Trump did not admit to losing an election, but also Vance didn't.
Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this. And the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win, but the democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake.
Yeah. So, Chris, tell us, what do you think about this mess?
Again, Walls is spot on here, right? Trump has been pushing this on us for I don't know how long now, right? We're not talking about a minuscule loss here. We're talking by millions. I think this was so inflammatory. It led to one of the worst days of this country's history, right? It's preposterous.
Yeah, I totally agree. And by the way, I was reading comments, and you guys like having a hidden chat in the chat. So it's like Callie and Chris have a conversation. They have a conversation with us. They have a conversation among them. So listen, this is a whole.
I don't even know how to get to that. So carry on.
But
I didn't even notice that.
But I want to hear from Callie. Callie, you're muted. Let's hear you, darling. You look so gorgeous. So tell us, Trump not admitting to losing election, and now he has the boy toy side piece that certainly will not behave the same as Pence did, and the boy toy smirking, not realizing that he might face Pence's fate, and probably even worse. Tell me.
Now I'm on the spot.
You can curse. That's okay.
Well, we all know that if it were to be close, there would be absolutely no conceding to the loss. and it would probably be worse than what we seen in January 6th.
That's true.
So that's, sorry, I'm a little
What do you
nervous.
what do you think about this, Kelly? Why couldn't Jance admit to it?
Because he's instructed not to agree to losing an election this year.
Right.
And Trump would probably have been beside himself that he went against their god.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all puppets in some form.
I hear as to even that Secret Service has to pass a pledge test, right? That you're a MAGA to cover Trump. And so hence it's very difficult to have Secret Service agents working for him because they all have to really, say that I don't believe in the election results in 2020 just to protect him. So he ends up being with interns and that kind of stuff. So that's just another level of crazy. Now let's jump into Roe v. Wade and what Tim Walz said.
Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade, 52 years of personal autonomy. And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states. It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy.
And by the way, Keith, you sent it to me this morning. Thank you so much, by the way. That the Hill reported that Louisiana law criminalizing possession of abortion pills takes now effect. The two drugs used in medication abortion are officially controlled substances in Louisiana. And so now they're in the same category as opioids and antidepressants. So what do you think about it, Keith? Let's go with you first.
I think it's just a realization of Project 2025.
Yeah. That's just so scary. So also here, forgot to show you, Missouri, a bishop wrote a whole letter with good news, in his opinion, that now dentists will be performing abortions in Missouri because that's the loophole they found in order not to face any, consequences for doing so. Rachel.
This is very similar to Tennesseans going to the veterinarian for their medical care. Trust me, it's happened. I mean, just a couple of months ago, it was illegal. It was legal to marry your cousin in Tennessee. Anyway, I digress. This is just, it's all insane to me. And I feel like Tim Walz said it perfectly that, we're making women cross states, and they have to figure out where to move in order to have a baby or not have a baby. And I think everyone can agree that none of us want the government in our body. Like, none of us. And I think if we could all just take a step back and say, oh, yeah, you're right. And there are no laws on men's bodies. So why, when can we stop punishing women? All of it is, I just can't believe it's 2024 and we're here.
Yeah. Kelly, can you add on that as to, what I've heard recently that was actually from Emhoff, from our second gentleman. He said that his mom called him once she heard the news about Roe v. Wade. And she said, how dare they make my granddaughter live with less rights than what I had before? Do you have anything to comment on this one?
Well, they really just want to make women second-class citizens and go back to walking 10, 15 steps behind their quotation man. Well, I'm not doing that. So I'm fighting for boys, girls, nieces, nephews, our grandbabies. I'm not going back. Period.
And that's, that's the whole thing. I think when they say make America great again, when was America great?
Yes.
Right? Can we talk about it? When African American people couldn't vote? Was that where you're gonna go back? That's when you were anti, maybe like in New York, like anti-Irish or anti-Italian. That's where you're gonna go back to. Where exactly are we gonna end when we're going back?
Didn't Trump say recently 1890 or something like that?
Oh, now we have numbers.
Yeah.
Does he
Sounds
know
like a number he would come up with.
that was that president that got shot, right? The one
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
stealing from people. Yeah. Well,
you'll never hear him say anything great about America or Americans unless they're they're MAGA, and it's like that alone is so un-American. Like, why don't you love her? Like, love each other. Like, come on. I don't know.
Listen, I think he grabbed America by the certain P part. Whatever. Now, 12 years ago, and holding it, and we're just trying to get rid of it. Like, stop touching us.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Hands on.
Exactly. Nobody's interested.
We need a double flush.
Kelly delivered a whole line today. That's the line. Okay, that's the way what we need to do in November. So, final clip that is sort of controversial. That's certainly what MAGA used, right? Tim Walz misspoke when he's passionate about anti-gun laws and common sense gun laws. And so, whenever he was speaking, he said, "I'm friends with families and certainly with victims," but instead of victims, he said shooters. And so that. MAGA made all the type of ads today based on just that occasion. So let's take a look at the clip, and then we see as to what Tim Walz had to say to press today.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is just your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents. And they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead. And they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second Amendment is there. But our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out. In Minnesota, we've enacted enhanced red flag laws, enhanced background checks. And we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence. And this idea that we should just live with it, and here's what I do think, that this is a good start to the conversation. I 100% believe that Senator Vance hates it when these kids, it's abhorrent and it breaks your heart. I agree with that. But that's not far enough when we know there are things that work.
Yeah. Kelly, may I ask you on this one? What did you think on his answer? I mean, that's sort of to Chris' point, where he started sort of being very cordial and nice, or like, giving Vance sort of props as to, oh, you probably agree. Well, how do we know if he agrees? How did you take it?
I think his answer was fair. It was good. It was, we need to do more, obviously. And he's right. It is not a mental health issue all the time. It is the guns. The fact that we allow 18-year-olds to legally, on a federal level, purchase an assault weapon is just insane to me. The fact that we finally, in a few states, have gone after the parents who have left their weapons unattended. The fact that children, the number one cause of death in children is gun violence. We have had over 600, I believe it was 600 mass shootings. 260 mass shootings, this year alone. And we're not even at the end of the year. So we do need to take a harder stance and a longer look, and we don't need better locks on school doors. We need counselors back in the classroom in schools, which at least where I'm from, we don't have them anymore. So a kid being bullied or having issues at home has nobody to talk to. So I just think we need to do better in all aspects of, gun violence and licensing and all of that stuff.
I totally agree because there was this tweet. I think Walls posted the tweet or his team during the debate, and he said, "Look, maybe it is actually guns, right? Because what are we moderating? Like, what are we trying to control? The uterus is very much controlled at this point. I'm not going to shoot anybody, but." And two things don't make it right and all that kind of stuff. Can we apply this narrative and start controlling the guns? Actually, the actual reason. So here's Walls asked by the media why he misspoke. Quick clip.
Well, thank you all. New York City was a little crazy last night, so good to see you all. Great to be here in Pennsylvania. Awful lot of teachers there, so really excited. So.
Do you want to clarify the comments that you made about school shooters?
Yeah, and look, you got to see me. These folks know me. I'm super passionate about this. The question come up about school shooting, we're talking about everything except school shootings. And I sat as a member of Congress with the Sandy Hook parents, and it was a profound movement. David Hogg is a good friend of mine. You have seen me do this. I was talking about being people where there are school shooters, and I need to be more specific on that, but I am passionate about this. This one.
I see the fatter man just like standing there, trying to take on media. So anybody wants to chime in before we round up the debate thing and get to reactions? Go ahead, Rachel.
I'd love to say something just about guns in general. I'm so tired of people crying. They're going to take our guns. They're going to take our guns. I mean, y'all been saying that for like 10 years now. It hadn't happened. So like, chill out. It's not going to happen. But the other side of that is that no civilian needs an AR. They are a weapon of mass destruction. They are for one purpose and one purpose only. And we don't need those. You don't need it in your house. We don't need it in the streets. We sure don't need it in McDonald's, like I saw like a couple of weeks ago. No, just it's too much. It's too much. We don't need it. And sometimes it is the guns.
Guys, weigh in because you're laughing. Oh, Kelly, go ahead.
If they haven't done anything after Sandy Hook, our nation was lost. As a nation, we were completely lost because we did almost nothing after Sandy Hook. I have to carry special insurance for my dog's breed, for the breeds of dogs that I have. And yet, an 18-year-old can go into his mom's room and pull out whatever he wants to pull out and do whatever they think they need to do with no consequences.
Thoughts and prayers, though, Chris.
Yeah, exactly. Thoughts and prayers. Listen, here's our children are going to school. They're going through metal detectors. They're carrying clear backpacks. It is crazy to me that this is what our children have to deal with. Parents are scared. The children are scared. And that's not a crazy narrative, right? It's reality. And, Kelly gave us the numbers, right? We're not even through 2024 yet. And we over 200 mass shootings. It's terrifying. They have to do something. The answer is not to turn our schools into a prison or build a big dome around them or arm our teachers. Our teachers are there to educate our children, not arm themselves and put themselves in danger. That just shouldn't be the reality. It can't be the reality going forward.
Absolutely agree. And also, they use the narrative when it's a white Republican guy. Suddenly, it was thoughts and prayers, and we don't talk about it. If they can twist it into somebody being of any type of race or maybe a Muslim or whatnot, that's being used as a very big thing. That's what bothers me, right? Because it's a talking point when something. Keith, you're nodding. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you. I think overall they just have a weak defense. They tend to scapegoat mental health, but then they refuse to fund mental health. They also refuse background checks. So how would you even know if somebody with mental health had access to a gun?
Right, right. And that's the point. Let's take a look at the final remarks, just 21 seconds of the final remarks of
Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive.
Yeah. Dragon Nice, Lake of Fire. There are more guns in the US than people. Good luck taking them all. Yeah, I mean, what I hear, they try to give money, right? If you return the gun, they try to give you.
Yeah, the buyback.
Yeah,
They did that in Texas.
situation. What's interesting in the last two shooting, Brandon says, attempts on Trump, both of those guys were Republicans, so it's crickets. Exactly. Yeah. And then Terry, hey Terry, hello. Just got off of Doctors for Harris and Nurses for America. Harris will zoom on climate. Better believe climate stress increases gun violence. It's all tied together, folks, and we need smart people with critical thinking skills to look at every angle. Thank you, Terry. And today, what's his face? Trump talked about that he completely convinced he switched climate change with seasons that are changing. He's like, oh, sometimes it rains, sometimes it snows, sometimes it's sunny. It's climate change. Like, dude, come on now. Great point, Keith. Hey, you have fans here. Daniel is a fan. Now, reactions. Now, I want to have your reaction on this CNN reaction. Take a look.
I think we shouldn't lose track, I think even in the civility of the fact that J.D. Vance came to this debate to land a bunch of punches, and he did. He landed a lot of punches in between all the niceties and all of that. And the thing that really stood out to me was that Tim Walz did not seem prepared for it.
Okay. Who wants to take? Keith, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if we were watching the same debate because what is she talking about?
Was doing Earth 2.
Sorry.
Hey, was he shadow boxing? I mean, what was he hitting exactly?
Yeah.
He literally did not bring a single truth or fact to this debate, right? Smooth talker, but it was all smoke and mirrors, right? He didn't land anything.
Yeah. I mean, no, he didn't lay any punches. What the actual fuck, lying? He didn't land punches. He landed a whole bunch of falsehoods. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
The deal was you weren't going to fact check me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. With the Haitians and the chickens and all that kind of stuff. Like, not the chickens. They're eating the cats and the dogs and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, that song, they made a song out of it. And it's number one in Europe. It's in all discos and whatever you call it.
It's so good.
Now, here, this is, Rachel, you're going to like it. So yesterday through the debate, normally that's what people search, right? So top search political issues by state. Crime, Social Security, healthcare, unemployment, abortion. So you see, abortion is pretty much like Georgia related. Now, yesterday during the debate, the entire United States was searching abortion. Speaking of abortion, here's Elon Musk. He says, Trump Vance must win. I can't handle 4 years of seeing and hearing Kamala and Walz. What would be cruel and unusual punishment? Musk, when are you going to Mars?
Yes.
Like, that's a good one. Anna Navarro says J.D. Vance is an able shapeshifter. He's been hillbilly, a Hollywood elite, a never Trumper, a Trump psychopath, demeaning of women, bigoted liar. He's been consistent in being slick. Yesterday, he took the shape of a cordial guy discussing policy. Believe him at your peril. What do you guys think of any of those reactions?
That's about as spot on as you can get. I think she nailed how J.D. Vance represented himself.
Yeah. I like this cartoon here. Lies, but lies in cursive.
Yes. Yeah.
I like to watch JD while Walz is speaking, and just picking up on certain ways that he like moves his mouth, and like he'll like do a hard blink, like when he's caught in a lie. It's pretty humorous.
I don't want to send anybody down a dark path, but watch again and see how many times he blinks per second. He just blinks nonstop. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maurice, I agree. What a POS Muskie is. Navarro was correct. Indeed. Yeah, Elon sounds like they don't want him in his country either, Yemi. Yeah, I agree. I mean, South Africa, I don't think, apartheid, maybe, when Vance has done 54 interviews, Tim 4. Well, does Tim needs to do 54 interviews? He's done a lot of rallies where people enjoyed their time at the rally, and I think on Vance's part, it's a 0. Not even a donut shop.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's terrible at voter outreach.
Yeah, that's but we say we know Waltz, but I have a little quiz that we never did yesterday. So here, real quick. Oh no! But listen, I worked on it, so I'm gonna make you suffer. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, how good do you know Tim Waltz? By the way, you guys can talk, so the things are still on. Question 1: After graduating from college in 1989, Waltz accepted a 1-year teaching position in which country? I mean, that's easy. Come on.
That's really easy.
And China. What is it?
Someone already answered, but China.
China,
yeah. See, and you were scared. 2, Tim Walz was reelected to the House how many times before he was elected governor? Who wants
3?
3.
Yeah, that's what I would go low.
3. 3. 5.
Oh, wow.
Come on.
Wow, really?
Reelected 5 times?
Wow, he's pretty accomplished.
Question 3. What's the full name of the American politician Tim Walz? So it's a middle name: James, William, or Phillips?
James.
You're right. It's James. Good. 4. Tim Walz taught which subject at a school as a school teacher in Mankato West High School? Mathematics, geography, English.
Geography?
Who said that?
Me.
You, Keith? Yeah, you were scared and you said geography. You're right.
So we're
I feel like I heard him say it. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure, but yeah.
And now finally, where was he born? Ohio, Florida,
Nebraska.
Nebraska, says Rachel. Yes.
Yep.
See, you survived. I'm happy now because I
each got one.
But I had no clue, by the way, if you didn't know anything. Oh my God, we have comments here. People are guessing. Okay, let's celebrate, folks, here. Quality over quantity. Yes, Maurice.
Yes.
Yep.
China. 5. Oh, Maurice says 5. Brandon was with you on 3. Jesse said 6. I don't know. Well, that's a good answer. Geography. Oh wow, you guys are
Okay,
really
fam. All right.
Nebraska. Jesse said okay. Everybody knows everything. Come on now.
Who was Googling during this? Come on.
Elon is a douche. Oh my God. Daniel says this panelist.
Thanks, Elon.
Do it more. Yes, it is fun, and I like it. Now, if I may bother you for 2 seconds, we laugh and it's all wonderful, and we spend such a good time, at least on my end, at our watch parties. But I want to draw it back as to draw attention as to why we're doing this. It's not really about numbers or whatever. It's more about giving an opportunity for somebody who is not having enough support. Perhaps your family is not sharing your political views. Perhaps your environment altogether, right? Chris mentioned you're in a Democratic, maybe city in a Republican state. Maybe you go to work and there's MAGAville. So that's why we're doing this. It's community. Yes, it's actual news. Yes, it's watch party, but it's really to provide you a place of comfort to chit chat with really like-minded people who are real, are there to support you. Rachel, if you may, you don't have to go deep into anything, but I know your story that we just met yesterday, literally, but certainly what I described would apply to you, right?
Yes. I mean, I was born and raised in the South, but I have lived all over the world, and everyone in my family is MAGA, and it's very difficult because, I know them, I love them, And I can see where everything went wrong, but I can't get them to see it. And so I'm just the crazy lib, and there's no having conversations. It just goes straight to yelling because they don't have anything of substance. But it's just sad. I mean, my mom, for instance, she has faux news on 24/7, sleeps with it on. And the thing is that if you're getting all your information from one source, that's never going to be okay.
Right.
You're not going to be getting quality, and you're definitely not getting facts. And it's what's been baffling to me is them believing words out of Trump's mouth over things that they're actually seeing with their own eyes or hearing in person. And it's just so that baffles me. But I think it goes back to they just get their news from one source. And I didn't meet a Democrat until I was 30. And I don't know. It's growing up in Tennessee. It never felt like an option. It never felt like I was allowed to vote for who I wanted. And so, yeah, it feels really good to be in New York where I'm not surrounded by MAGA trucks and, people just yelling, Trump, like in your face. And I just asked them, like, what has he done for you? What do you like about him? What policies do you like? And I don't know. I found a lot of people would rather just stay uninformed and blindly just, it's a cult. There's just no other word for it. And it makes me sad because there are really, really good people that he's bamboozled. And I hate seeing, my own mom, she's out of work. She's 75 and she's bought almost every grift of his that he's had, a $200 photo book that she can't afford. And that to me is the saddest part is that, they've made Trump their God.
Yes.
And I just don't understand it. And I put myself in these rooms with these people. I listen to what they say. I ask them questions, but it never gets anywhere because there's no back and forth. It's usually just one side yelling.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is going to spread the light, spread the truth, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready for MAGA to be considered a hate group, and I'm ready for, media outlets to be held accountable for just spreading lies. I'm just ready for all of it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone wants to chime in? Keith, Callie, Chris?
I think Rachel was, spot on. I say one of the worst things that Trump ever did was he legitimized hate in this country. He legitimized the MAGA party. He made it all legitimate, right? It was always there, right? But it was under wraps. It was under covers. He legitimized it, brought it to the forefront, funded it, right? He asked for it. He's goading it. He's goading hatred. And it has to stop. MAGA needs to go away. I don't know that, putting Trump away in November is going to be the death blow for MAGA. I think, they still have a ways to go. But, I agree with everything Rachel said.
Kitty says, before MAGA, it was Tea Party, less culty, but that's the root of it. I mean,
Yeah.
my father back, it goes, much further back it goes, the way back outward in 60s. And then Yemi said, it's the otherization of people, I think. When you're successfully convinced people that who aren't like them are the reason for whatever they may be going through. I completely agree.
Yes.
Right? And it gave people the identity, because that's why you see people dressed up in all this MAGA attire, showing up somewhere, and they're seeing another person dressed up like them. So it's like now we finally are a community, right? Because before, just, talking about your hatred and your weird thoughts was not welcomed by your society, I guess. If and when Trump dies, MAGA will make him a mentor. That's what I think too, though. That's, yeah.
It'll only elevate them, right? They're gonna have statues, right?
Yeah.
I love that. United.
Yeah, we're United States of America. They want to take us back to slavery. And I think, what I really started liking, that Biden started saying that, Trump was a liar. This is, it's not political in terms of like he's advocating for Harris to win, but especially when it came to the hurricane and the aid. You're lying to people that they're not having necessities. So they're not even reaching out to get those necessities. And this is, it's insane. Why?
Project 2025 wants to get rid of the National Weather System. So you think that's going to make it better? No. And the rhetoric of taking it back to the states, if I'm not mistaken, that started, from the mustache man.
Yeah.
And I just, hello, no, we are the United States of America. And I don't know, why can't we just love thy neighbor? And if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything nice at all, or don't say anything at all,
I was today in Manhattan at a closed club, and they had this podium and all the portraits. And I said, what was here before? And they said, that's where Republicans, think of Franklin, that time, that's when they passed the law to protect women's rights. And I was like, whoa. Wow. There's the podium where they spoke and where they signed. And I'm like, really? Republicans? And I mean, if you think about it, that's who later became the Democratic Party, as far as I'm concerned, right? And now MAGA has nothing to do with the Republican Party either. That's a different well. But I thank all of you for joining me. We said, listen, I promised everybody 20 minutes. It turned into 53, but it was every single minute was a joy. Is there anything we can help you promote, guys? First and foremost, Rachel and Keith have not indicated their Twitter shitter, but you probably will find them because we're going to comment there. We're going to blast it.
I just joined today, so I don't even know what my name is on Twitter yet.
Oh, we'll find it, and we will comment on it. But Chris, tell us your technical one. PCA.
Technical itch. I've heard all the jokes. There's nothing you can say that I haven't heard. I'm the nerd, right? I'm a tech guy at heart. But really, politics is my passion. So.
Same.
Love it. So please follow Technical Itch, and instead of I is a 1.
It's a 1. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking.
Thanks, Kitty.
People, we have fans. Love the panel. Please do it again. Yes, this was so informative. Good job, all of you. Love this. Awesome. Thank you, guys, and thank you for doing this. And Callie, Karma, Karma, Kell. Go follow right now. And then I'm personally going to comment Keith's and Rachel's names. So everybody can follow them. And Keith has the best questions, and he gives me all this, everything. Come on now, and then Rachel and Keith. Yeah, we're gonna blast it. Come on now. Okay. We can promote. Does anybody have a podcast? Thank you. Does anybody have a podcast? Not yet.
No.
I'm on a panel.
You're on a panel? Which one?
It's called Speaking in Spoons. It's about disability.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Send me the
Speaking-
info. I'm gonna send it
Yeah.
and put it in our newsletter. So
That'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
Chris, do you have a podcast? You look so professional. You should have a podcast. Do you have a
Not yet. I'm working on it.
Oh, tell me. Come on. Anything I can do, we'll speed it up. But thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you. I'm going to read out some actual news from today, so everybody stick with me. But guys, you did so amazingly. And I know some of you more or less were nervous, but you did so well and you made it so easy for me. So I'm grateful for every single one of you. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
everybody.
me.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Love y'all.
Close your browsers, and I take it over from here talking about Joe. Oh, I'm so large. Oh my God. That's weird. Can you come back? All right. So you can close your browsers or stick with me here, whatever, guys, floats your boat. Yay! Daniel says, yeah. You want to hear about Joe? Joe was on fire today, and I have a video of it. So, where are we? Where are we? Okay, so first and foremost, President Carter turned 100 years old. And I'm not going to show you the video of President Carter being wheeled in and sort of like enjoying a flyover. Why? Because everybody deserves privacy. And certainly from what we've seen him being like, he's 100 years old. There's different types of 100 years old. But let's protect his privacy. And let's remember him as that active and individual who inspired us to do our best and be our best. So I have a wonderful video by all the former presidents and President Biden congratulating President Carter to his 100th birthday. Take a look.
Mr. President, on behalf of the entire Biden family and the American people, happy 100th birthday.
Happy birthday, and have a wonderful evening.
To my fellow President Jimmy Carter, happy 100th birthday.
Have a happy birthday, friend.
Mr. President, you've always been a moral force for our nation and the world.
I have always admired President Carter for many things. His accomplishments in the White House, his incredible impact since leaving office, his fundamental decency.
You've had a heck of a life, and you're surrounded by people who love you.
And for the last 40 plus years, he's shown us just how much a former president can accomplish. From promoting democracy and honest elections to combating disease and advancing peace.
Your commitment to a better world and your unwavering belief in the power of human goodness continues to be a guiding light for all of us.
So Jimmy, thank you for your friendship, your example, and for always finding new ways to remind us that we are all created in God's image.
May you have peace of mind and peace in your heart.
Thanks for your extraordinary example of service that has moved millions here in America and all around the world.
May God continue to bless you, Mr. President. You've been a good friend.
That's so sweet. And Katie says, who's missing from this presidential lineup? Missing? The key word is missing. Are we missing? Are we missing someone? Or it's just like, whatever. You saw the video. Brandon says, we know he's actually alive. He is. We saw him yesterday. He's alive. Keith is here. Okay. Seeing Bush included is great. Yes. And also, where are you? Where are you, Bush? Can you join us now? Like, we're losing democracy here a little bit. Come on now. Show up. Oh, thank you, Daniel. Maybe blush. Okay. I feel very large because we were like 6 of us and now it's just me and I feel large. Anyway, continuing. Another fun video. Our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, traveled to Mexico City to be a part of the very important inauguration, where Mexico selected not only their very first female president, but the very first female president in North America. So north, south, everywhere. So take a look. This is our First Lady. Where do we have it? Yes, arriving in Mexico and being part of the very historic event.
There's something special in the air, and I felt it as soon as I landed. A crackle of excitement to see the inauguration of the first woman president of Mexico.
Yeah, for me, it felt like almost like she became a queen, right? That sort of the stylistic of it all was very royal, as if she was, elected a new queen or whatnot. But very beautiful. Mexico for the win, indeed. Yes, yes. And Brandon was surprised to see Bush. Indeed, they had a concert for President Carter way back, and that's what this celebration was for, the video was for. To toot my horn, I met President Carter, and we exchanged letters afterwards. We talked, and then we exchanged letters, and he used my work that I did for UN for his book. And if you care about women's rights, I want you to really read this. Jimmy Carter, Call to Action, Women, Religion, Violence, and Power. And he studied all the treatment of women, right? Whether it is here and all around the world, because his charity helped not just women, but everybody all around the world. He protected democracy, democratic elections. He of course, benefited healthcare and also vaccinations in Africa and all around the world. So if you may read this or want to read something, go ahead and read it. He signed it for me. It's very special. And then what I was always looking forward to, and this is our last card that he sent out, Happy Holidays. You see him with Rosalind, and they signed it both. And this year it's going to be all different. It's the first year without her, so their relationship is so special, and we certainly wish him the very, very best. All right, now we have the happy. Now we go last happy. All right, but why am I showing this clip? This is the clip of Vice President Harris speaking up on the Iranian attack on Israel yesterday. I know you know that Iran, by now you know, Iran fired around 200 missiles. Israel said everything was intercepted. Today we had reports that not everything was intercepted. We also had reports that Iran yesterday tested the brand new ballistic missile that is meant for Russia to strike on Ukraine. So partially for them, this was a way to test and sort of to toot their horn, maybe raise pricing, right, to Russia and China and whatnot for what they have developed. Also, what has been reported by independent resources, not American resources, that this attack was more significant but also more efficient than the one in April. So again, when it comes to State Department, I was trying to get a clip for you, what they will say, and they said nothing. Like, oh, no. We think we let Israel speak on what was intercepted and whatnot. But there are videos showing that certainly things fell down. Now, what I want to show you is a video where when Iran decided to strike Israel, they did not have any notice, right? They didn't pass a note to US or Israel or any type of country that could inform Israel to close their skies for commercial airlines. So this video was filmed by somebody who was flying on a plane right above Israel. Take a look. Just imagine you're flying on a commercial airline, plane. You probably want to get to Jordan or Egypt or maybe even Israel. And suddenly, you're facing Iron Dome and missiles and ballistic missiles. So that's just insanity. That's very scary. But here's Vice President Harris on the attack.
So today, Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israel in a reckless and brazen attack. I condemn this attack unequivocally. I'm clear-eyed. Iran is a destabilizing, dangerous force in the Middle East, and today's attack on Israel only further demonstrates that fact. Earlier today, I was in the Situation Room with President Biden and our national security team as we monitored the attack in real time and ensured that the protection of U.S. personnel in the region is paramount.
Apologies for the sound. This was Washington Post. That was the only source that recorded this video, and it came with weird sounds and very low volume for her, but loud for everything else. So my apologies on that regard. So before leaving Joint Base Andrews today, President Biden, because he went to South Carolina, North Carolina, which I have a readout and a whole video for you to report on. So he addressed the press. And so he was asked whether Israeli strike would include striking on a nuclear facilities or nuclear sites in Iran. And he responded, the answer is no. So per US, for Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration instruction, Israel is not allowed to strike on nuclear sites in Iran. Now, as I have covered day before yesterday, Russia already met in Tehran. They met the Iranian counterpart, and they talked about nuclear stuff and exchanging technology and whatever equipment in return for Iranian ballistic missiles that they did test successfully yesterday. Again, all of it is allegedly. You never know what to trust. I'm just informing you from the sources that are not American, but outside the US, but are sort of trustworthy and European sources. Spiegel, for instance, German, that's who reported that. Now, other version. So why did markets react so harshly on the on Iranian strike on Israel? Because if, let's say, Israel will retaliate, and they will, and they should, right? And it's their right to defend themselves. They will be striking, if not nuclear sites, they will be striking their oil reserves, right? Because Iran is one of the biggest, if not the biggest right now, exporter of oil. So if they do that, the pricing for oil, hence for other products, will go up. Now, if that, let's say that would affect United States, who will be benefiting from it? Certainly not you and I and Biden administration, but certainly Trump administration, because that would give them a talking point. Was that discussed between Netanyahu and Trump? We don't know. Could be, right? Just pointing out the obvious. Now, National Security Advisor to Vice President Phil Gordon met today with Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian American community leaders. Here's a readout. Dr. Gordon discussed the latest developments in the Middle East. He underscored the Biden-Harris administration's efforts to bring the war in Gaza to an end through a ceasefire and hostage release deal, which would relieve the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He expressed concern for civilians in Lebanon and underscored the importance of a diplomatic resolution for ultimately achieving lasting stability and security across Israel-Lebanon borders so that civilians can safely return to their homes. He also expressed concern about actions that undermine peace, security, and stability in the West Bank. All good. Good words. Okay? But now, today, State Department even confirmed that Hamas has not negotiated or even expressed a willingness to negotiate or even listen for the past 3 weeks. Could it be longer? Probably, right? Because we haven't heard anything. We just heard, Qatar is representing them, and that started somewhere in May, right? But we haven't heard anything, right? Since we heard that Hamas said, well, then give protection to our leader everywhere, right? And then Israel went ahead and killed the leader. So there's no negotiation. So talking about peace talks and ceasefire, it's all good talk, but will there be action? Now, I was on a call, it was yesterday, with the CFR. CFR is the Council for Foreign Affairs in New York City. They hosted a closed meeting on Zoom, and it had all national security advisors for former presidents, both Democratic and Republican. Now, this is not my take, but their take was that pretty much Israel has the right, but Biden's administration being very slow on allowing them to do what they ultimately will be doing has caused more damage to Gaza than before. Then the questions started as to, why didn't you have anybody who's pro-Palestinian on this board? But on the meeting, right, and on the panel, but certainly on the panel, they had former national security advisors. And all of them said that not allowing Israel to go to Jaffa. That caused delays and that caused more death. Now, since Gaza did get money and does get aid, they have internally, they have subgroups, right? Which I reported on in the newsletter yesterday. Now US is prosecuting and sanctioning and whatever, but they all grew like mushrooms within Gaza because they're playing their own game as well, and they go against Palestinians. So are you saving presumably innocent Palestinians or not? Right? We talked about it in detail, but I just wanted to share. So Israeli foreign minister posted today something very interesting. And by the way, I said my love for UN will never die. Love. Yesterday, Guterres, the Secretary General of UN, posted that he's condemning the attack on Lebanon, right? Because Israel marched into Lebanon. And I, reposted, I quoted his Twitter shitter, and I said, but can you be specific? Are you condemning Iran striking Israel as a retaliation because of the a leader of a terrorist organization, right? Internationally recognized terrorist organization, TFO, was killed. Talking about Nasrallah, right? Are you condemning that? Because why, if you're not condemning anything that terrorist groups do, but you're only condemning what Israel does, will certainly lead to a consequence. Here's a consequence. It's not that important. It's just politically important. So Israel Minister of Foreign Affairs, right? He put this here. He put this on his Twitter. He said, "Today I declared UN Security General Antonio Guterres persona non grata in Israel and banned him from entering the country. Anyone who cannot condemn Iran's attack on Israel, as almost every country in the world has done, does not deserve to step foot on Israeli soil." Not that Antonio, Guterres wanted to travel to Israel, but he could. So now he can't. Pity, shitty, we don't know, but certainly it is expected. Now, President Biden joined a call with the G7 today to discuss Iran's unacceptable attack against Israel and to coordinate on a response to this attack, including new sanctions. President Biden and the G7 condemned Iran's attack against Israel. President Biden expressed the United States' full solidarity and support to Israel and its people. Now, and the ironclad commitment to protecting Israel. Now, my question is sanctions. What's your intention with the sanctions? Just think about it. You're sanctioning Hamas and now in this case, Hezbollah, Iranian-sponsored Hezbollah, to what? Are they trading with you? Are they traveling? Do they have property in the U.S.? Do they have assets that you can monetize and, like with Ukraine and Russian assets, use it for rebuilding Israel? Or what are those sanctions for? Is it just to show that, yes, I'm pity, I don't like it? What are you why? Because certainly we sent more planes, F-16, F-35s, to protect Israel. Certainly we sent another USS. Three USS are there. So sanctions? Really? Israel is going to strike. The question is what? Because on one hand, prices will go up. On another hand, well, maybe if they do strike the nuclear facilities and whatever they're building there, maybe that will be helping everybody, literally everybody in this world, as far as Ukraine. So, speaking of Ukraine, United States through USAID has announced initial allocation of $13 million for Rehab for You. That's an initiative to enhance physical rehabilitation systems in Ukraine. This program aims to improve access to services and assistive technology for persons with disabilities, fostering their inclusion in communities and contributing to country's recovery. With the war increasing the demand for rehabilitation care, Rehab for You will be implemented in 15 regions to ensure broad impact. The U.S. remains dedicated to supporting Ukrainian people by providing essential assistance and promoting Ukraine's sovereignty and prosperity. And, I recall the very recent Olympic Games, Paralympic Games, where Ukraine had the biggest delegation. Think why. because athletes go to fight and athletes get hurt. And certainly they rather joined Paralympic team than Olympic team this year, which was heavily discussed in Ukraine, not much internationally. Also, Japan got a new prime minister. You just saw the prime minister. I'm not going to make up a name, but you just saw Japanese prime minister being in Delaware, right? In Wilmington, Delaware with Biden. But today they welcomed new one starting October 1st, which was expected. And so Secretary Blinken and also President Biden gave a call, welcomed him. His name is Blinken welcomed the new foreign minister, Evaya Takeshi, and then President Biden welcomed the new prime minister. So let's talk about Harris. Let's see your comments real quick. Biden may release oil refineries reserves as needed. And probably he should, and he will keep the price down. Yeah, and if you see that, that means that's the intention of Israel to bomb that stuff. Ceasefire before election, that would be great for Harris. Yeah. That's true, Brandon. We currently produce and export. So funny, Keith is here. He's there. He's there everywhere. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We currently produce and export more oil. So would a price increase even be immediate or before election? We don't know. That's again what sort of the briefs are saying to monitor a market for that. If somebody is a specialist on this, please tell me more, because I certainly, go by what I read, and put two things together. So let's talk about Vice President Harris. Both her and President Biden visited the sites today impacted by Hurricane Helene. Again, if you're suffering, if your family is going through this turbulent experience and this devastating loss, our prayers, all our prayers, the panel who was with us just now, everybody who's watching, everybody who's subscribed, our prayers are with you. And if there's anything I can do, share information, pass your message along, just let me know, and I will gladly do so. But just know that we're with you. Yesterday, Vice President spoke with Asheville Mayor Astor Mannheimer. The Vice President received updates on ongoing response and recovery efforts and shared the administration's commitment to providing life-saving support to impacted communities. Now, today, she traveled to Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, to survey impacts of Hurricane Helene and provide updates on federal actions that are being taken to support emergency response and recovery efforts throughout Georgia. So first stop was at the Augusta Emergency Operations Center, where she talked to first responders. She said, "I'm here to thank you and to listen. I've been reading and hearing about the work you've been doing over the last few days, and I think it really does represent some of the best of what we each know can be done, especially when we coordinate around local, state, federal resources to meet the needs of people who must be seen, who must be heard." So for her second stop, what a background, really. It's just prayers and horrible. But again, if you think of Asheville, that's, yeah. Vice President Harris is currently here, as you see, on the ground in Meadowbrook neighborhood of Augusta, Georgia, where she was joined by Mayor Gardner Johnson to survey the impact of Hurricane Helene firsthand, while personally walking through this community that was hit by high winds and severe rain. She also heard directly from a family and business owner who were impacted. In addition to hearing their stories, Vice President also provided an update on the federal government coordination response and recovery efforts. And so in her remarks, she announced that the President has approved Governor Kemp's request for 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures for 3 months. Okay, that was the biggest delivery. Now, Biden also delivered for North Carolina and South Carolina the same, if I may preview. So this will support the urgent work to address the impacts from debris removal and flooding, and will cover cost of first responders, search and rescue, shelters, mass feeding, and other emergency response activities in this critical time. For the third stop, she visited Henry Begum Community Center in Augusta, Georgia, to meet with impacted families, support on-the-ground relief efforts, and distribute resources to community members in need. And I do have a video on that. So take a look. You know, often when you're, regardless at the White House, any type of event, and you think that everything, like in a movie, right? Everything is so good and whatnot, and then you turn around and it's like a zoo, right? You're there and everybody's filming you. That's just like a very interesting environment. Politicians or stars, you know, have to be in. And I think certainly, comment if you agree that these days politicians became those celebrities. How often do you think of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie? And I age myself, but Billie Eilish, whatever, you know, whoever is trendy now. You know, maybe this sort of reality stars, maybe Netflix stars are the stars, but I certainly, you know, don't catch myself thinking often about that kind of stuff, but certainly. Now, President Biden first started on a helicopter, and I'm laughing because I'm going to have a readout. President was on aboard of Marine One and took an aerial tour of areas impacted by Hurricane Helene. And why I'm laughing is because the pool, right, the three reporters who went with him, reporters, press, we go on ospreys. Ospreys are those that elevate vertically, right? And you think it's kind of cool. Yeah, but, you know, it's, you know, like a plane and a helicopter, two in one. And the talk is it's not safe, it's safe. So it's been debunked that it's not safe. Anyway, but so the helicopter, right, it goes this way, right, because they have to see the impacted area and then go up and whatnot, right, because it's also Carolina, you have the mountains, you have all this. Now with ospreys, they don't go this way, right, so they go this way, right, they go down, follow the Marine One, up and down, up and down. And so the pool was commenting, they're like, that was nauseating. I mean, we're gonna throw up here. This is just one of the rights that we will never forget. So here's the report, despite the throwing up. After a few minutes of stunning views of tree-covered mountains, we dipped closer to the ground for a better view of the storm damage, making a big loop over Asheville area. The destruction was visible, especially near downtown Asheville. We could see flattened buildings and the skeletons of now gutted structures. In some areas, we could see trees that had been knocked down. We flew over Biltmore Village, the River Arts District, and East Asheville, as well as Swannanoa and Black Mountain. We also flew over Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, and had a clear view of the water, which had turned a dark brown color. We saw some homes that were still partially underwater. There was a lot of storm debris in the water. At times, it was hard to distinguish between lake and land. So President Biden was briefed, and then he delivered remarks during the briefing. So I have a 4-minute video for you, so let's watch it.
Of historic proportions. The damage is still being assessed, but many people are still unaccounted for. So I'm here to say the United States, the nation, has your back. The nation has your back. We're not leaving until you're back on your feet completely. You know, we're in a situation where earlier this morning I met with state and local police in Greenville, South Carolina. Then I took an aerial tour of western North Carolina to survey the damage. And came here in Raleigh to receive a briefing from all of you. And we've been working nonstop to provide the support that you need and the survivors need. You know, it goes. My heart goes out to everyone who has experienced the unthinkable loss. But we're here for you. And I want to thank Republican Governor of South Carolina and the Democratic Governor of North Carolina and all the elected officials who focused on the task at hand. In a moment like this, we put politics aside. At least we should put it all aside, and we have here. There are no Democrats or Republicans, there are only Americans. And our job is to help as many people as we can, as quickly as we can, and as thoroughly as we can. You know, that's why even before the storm hit, I directed the entire federal government to use every possible resource to help communities across the nation, across the region get ready. We deployed over 1,000 first responders throughout the Southeast. I immediately approved emergency declarations as soon as I received the request from your governors. Today, I approved the request of Governor Cooper for the federal government to cover 100% of all the costs for debris removal, emergency protective measures for 6 months, all the costs. Well, this really matters. There are 70 North Carolinians who are dead and hundreds more who are unaccounted for. And much of Asheville is underwater. I've flown over an awful lot of storm-damaged areas since I've been president. Matter of fact, many of them forest fires. And with the FEMA director and I have flown over more forest that's been taken down to the ground because of fires and a whole range of other reasons than makes up the entire state of Maryland. And so I've seen a lot, but we're looking at Asheville and just imagining what it must have been like sitting along those rivers and streams as all that rain came down. What, 19 inches of rain, something like that? Incredible amount of rain. Watching homes, you could see homes that have moved clearly from one side of the river down the river to another side of the river. And can only imagine what it's like to have been in one of those homes. And much of Asheville was underwater. Much of it was underwater. It was a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. I've been to Asheville before. It's a magnificent part of Appalachia. Much of it was underwater. Communities like Chimney Rock are reduced to piles of wood and debris. I mean, you look down, that's what you see as we flew over and circled in a helicopter. And this is going to pay for, this will pay for the urgent work we need to clear landslides, to provide shelters and supply food and medicine. But today I'm also directing the Department of Defense to move up 1,000 soldiers to reinforce North Carolina's National Guard because they need additional assistance. These soldiers are out of Fort Liberty right here in North Carolina and are available for responsive operations starting today. They're going to speed up the delivery of life-saving supplies like food, water, and medicines to isolated communities over what the Pentagon calls the last tactical mile. The last tactical mile. Simply put, we've got the capabilities to get the job done, and we're going to get it done.
And then, then it hurts so much more so when somebody shows up and lies that nothing has been done. Governor Kemp could not reach Biden. Biden is on the beach. Kamala Harris is getting, at this point, and I totally share, Biden's opinion, what he mentioned at the Oval Office. I played the video day before yesterday where he said, look, he's lying. I don't know why. I don't care what he says about me, but now it's about people. How dare you to lie that nothing has been done, because people are trusting you. You're the cult leader. And so they're trusting you to get the information, whether there is medical care, whether there is food and water and supplies. So speaking of Trump, pretty good news. So Jack Smith has unsealed 165 immunity brief, 165 pages of the immunity brief of United States of America versus Trump. That's the case that he filed again. And so the first page is very impactful. And it's tiny for you to read, but I certainly can repost that. And so you probably saw it by now. So the defendant, he says, asserts that he is immune from prosecution for his criminal scheme to overturn the 2020 presidential election because he claims it's entitled official conduct. Not so. Although the defendant was the president during the charged conspiracies, his scheme was fundamentally a private one. So certainly he debunks the idea that it is official. By the way, with that word, I'm always saying it one way and people tell me no, it's wrong. And I all the time say wrong. So anyway, apologies. Now, this is interesting. Falsely, though, some accounts, Democratic accounts, said that Trump said that. No, it's the P5, individual P5, so person 5. What they disclosed that when they were talking about the election, right, and they tried to fix the election and to fix the election the way that Trump won't be losing, individual P5, so person 5, said, we think a batch of votes heavily in Biden's favor is right. And then P5 responded, find a reason it isn't. Give me options to file litigation. And even if it whatnot. When the colleague suggested that there was about to be unrest reminiscent of the Brooks Brothers riot, a violent effort to stop the vote count in Florida after the 2000 presidential election, individual 5 responded, make them riot and do it. The defendant's campaign operatives and supporters used similar tactics at other tabulation centers, including Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and defendants sometimes used the resulting confrontations to falsely claim that he won. Then, when the defendant, Trump, took the stage at a rally to speak to supporters who had gathered there at his urging, he knew that Pence had refused once and for all to use the defendant's fraudulent electors' certificates. The defendant also knew that he had only one last hope to prevent Biden's certification as president: the large and angry crowd standing in front of him. So for more than an hour, the defendant delivered a speech designed to inflame his supporters and motivate them to march to the Capitol. Now, the list of people has been released for now. So the P5 is the Michael Roman campaign staffer disrupting vote counts, but it has, it lists everybody, including Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, and it's 165 pages. So certainly media and all of us will go through it and report on what has been found. This is just, a tiny tippity-tip of the iceberg, what I read out, but you see everybody is a part of it. Now, the Twitster in chief, of course, he's having a problem. And mind you, this is not in all caps, so I'm not sure who wrote that. But the release of this falsehood written, unconstitutional, J6 brief immediately following Tim Walz's disastrous debate performance and 33 days before the most important election in history of our country is another obvious attempt by the Harris-Biden regime to undermine and weaponize American democracy and interfere in the 2024 presidential election. So here, that sounds very Russian to me. You know why? Because Russia always blames you or Ukraine or whoever, blames a counterpart for doing what they just did. And they're going to say, how dare you, right? Or those people who are very much anti-LGBTQ rights or anything, and then on some site, you find out that they're part of it. When you are condemning something so loud and so clear, you certainly have done it. So, and he replied that to his own tweet where he said, whether now, then fully debunked Russia, Iran, Ukraine, 51 intelligence agents spying on my campaign, impeachment hoax, number 1, impeachment hoax, number 2, or any of the other scams. 34 felonies, more to come. I just don't know how reading this, right? We understand it's the person number 5, whatever that campaign staffer is, said, let them riot or whatever. The campaign staffer, as much as Vance yesterday, right? When he declined to answer whether Trump lost the election. they are instructed by him. They are echoing whatever his mindset is or whatever he allows them to say. So allowing this certain individual to come anywhere close to the White House is dangerous, yes, to democracy, but to us, to you personally. It will get personal. I don't want to scare you, and we discussed that certainly in the panel. Sometimes I catch myself, thinking, am I a conspiracy theorist? And then you're like, well, we have facts. Like, this is a court case. This is not a made up story with a foil hat. I'm not getting this from Mars or whatever. This is a filed court case. It has receipts, it has messages, it has voice messages. All of the receipts are there. So certainly looking forward to studying that more. P5 Michael Roman was also in close with conservative Stephen Harper in Canada. He's a cross-border threat. Mike Roman has made many unsubstantial allegations of fraud and rigging. He has a history and general reputation as someone who stirs things up. So his presence in any election day issues gives me a pause. Wow. Okay, Kitty K, thank you. And give good press coverage. Can anybody explain Trump's quirk of repeating states by threes? Is he casting a spell? It's like summoning Bill. Yeah. Russia, Russia, Russia. Iran, Iran, Iran. It's like copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Trump is a criminal. Yes. I mean, it's not even a lie, or it's a fact. I just wish for media to start putting facts out. And if America, majority of our country, decides to elect a felon for the first time in history, world history probably, maybe Italy, not, because they had Berlusconi, who's a felon too, and by the way, Netanyahu is facing a couple of things. But if really the majority will decide to elect him, I mean, it's a democracy. Okay, you win, you lose. But helping him to maneuver and present it as if majority has won, that is inexcusable. And if you're undecided now, maybe you should look at yourself in the mirror and think, why? Why? What are you fighting? Basic instinct to survive? Survival instincts? What are you fighting that you are still undecided? Or maybe you are hidden pro-Trump and you just position yourself as undecided voter so others will speak to you. But then make a decision. Then think about, why do you have to hide your opinion so others would be welcoming to you? Think about it. Why do you have to hide it? Why isn't welcoming everywhere? Not because we don't like redheads. We like redheads. Not because we don't like Trump per se. Well, he's whatever. He was on Apprentice. We didn't really bother. I watched it a couple of times, whatever. But him in this office doing whatever he has done and now allowing himself with this immunity ruling per Supreme Court do more and be pretty much unrestricted, that is a scary situation. And women are targeted. And regardless who you are or who you vote for, you have a woman in your life. A woman brought you to this planet, to this life. You have a woman in your life. Perhaps you're not close with, but you have to appreciate the whole process. And targeting women and targeting minorities and targeting those who are crossing the border seeking, better life or whatnot, taking on the jobs and doing all this kind of stuff that most Americans probably wouldn't really do. That is a really disgusting approach to winning, and if he even wins. So that's my impromptu closing statement. We're done. Trump used to just be a joke. Now he's a danger, clear and present. Democracy is to us all. Indeed. Actually, we're not done. I have quotes of the day. VP debate. Walls referring to Donald Trump. Did he lose the 2020 election? Vance says, Tim, I'm focused on the future. Honey bunny, that's why we study history. To focus on the future, you need to know the past. And Donald Trump. Okay, listen. Just close your eyes and listen. That's what he says. The planet has actually gotten a little bit cooler recently. Climate change covers everything. It can rain, it can be dry, it can be hot, it can be cold. Climate change. I believe I really am an environmentalist. I've gotten environmental awards. And thank you, Chris, for commenting before. Well, that's awards that his Trump golf clubs hosted, and he got the award, so he would have those awards. But how sad. He's completely switching, changing seasons with climate change. For him, seasons are changing, right? Winter, spring, summer, fall. For him, that's the climate change because it changed. Anyway, vote. Okay. And we're going to meet tomorrow either at, I think at 9 p.m. Yeah, that's where we're going to meet for actual news, either 5 p.m. or 9, tending more to 9 because I feel like many things are happening around 5 p.m. I don't know. So I can report on some actual news. And then we're going to meet, of course, on Friday as well. What did Kelly say? Kelly said, focus on the future and you're trying to turn us back. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. And you did so well on this panel. I really, really enjoyed it. Did you see the clip of that young kid? Which one? The one that was teaching us civics? That's what I want to round up today with, to have a bit of belief in our future and that good people exist and those who are knowledgeable exist. So here's a kid that pretty much educated.
We were talking, Marcus, about this constant criticism about the vice president not being able, about the vice president being in office for these last. He's already upset about it. The vice president being in office for all these years and not being able to make the change was the allegation from J.D. Vance. You said to me, "I've been to high school civics class." Why did you say that?
Because if anybody took high school civics class, they'd know what the vice president can do and what the vice president can do. I want to make a quick point. Neither candidate on that stage talked about what executive action they're going to take on day one to do what they want, nor were they asked because they know that they can't. That's not how the vice presidency works. You don't get to do what you want. You do what the president delegates you to do.
Yeah. So you guys are just discussing. I guess she forgot. She mentioned, but she didn't forget. She wanted to close up with something that is more nice than Trump. That's why. Okay. Now we saw it. Give him a follow. Yeah. The kid needs to drop a, come on. We don't know the reason behind it. So Marcus J_3194. Marcus, come on, join our panel, join the show, talk, teach us. Okay, we want you to run. We want you to run and we want you to win soon. We need folks like you. So thank you, Kitty K, for sharing this. Let me screenshot this. This is important stuff, people. Come on, screenshot it. Go ahead. So we can give Marcus a follow. And thank you. I want to thank you for signing up for the newsletter. And I want to remind you, sign up to get actual news. It's onest.substack.com. And if you decide to support $5 a month, you really help this show to be or whatever we're doing here to happen every day. And I really am grateful for you. Thank you so much. And that's all related to the news. And my love language is information. And I want to pass actual information. So you can choose any options, also free options and whatnot. Main thing, get your news. Okay. Thank you for subscribing, for supporting. I appreciate all of you, and I would love for all to get your newsletters and know exactly what's happening beyond the he said, she said mainstream media, where not much is actually reported. Okay, that's the idea behind the newsletters. He won't be when he's old. We're talking about the guy. Thank you. We appreciate all the work you do so much. Thank you, Kitty K. Thank you, Callie. Thank you for joining the panel, and thank you. Give a follow to all our panelists. I'm going to tag them in the comments. They did such a fabulous job. Was absolutely no preparation. Just literally, we made up our mind after midnight yesterday, and they joined, and this was so good. I appreciate them. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for being with us on the screen today. I really enjoyed all of it. Thank you, Renee. Thank you. It was wonderful meeting you yesterday at the watch party. That was fantastic. Thank you, Patty. Love the newsletters. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. Now my family always laughs that I'm taking longer for thank yous than for actual news, but I really am grateful for you. So thank you and see you tomorrow. Have a good night.